This 27-year-old Malaysian called Jolo, he convinces the Prime Minister of Malaysia to set up a sovereign wealth fund and raise $6.5 billion with Goldman Sachs. And he just goes ahead and steals it, takes half of it, sends it through offshore centers. He uses it to build a Hollywood empire. He gets to know Leonardo DiCaprio. They make The Wolf of Wall Street with the stolen money. He buys, hotels, buildings all over New York. He dates Miranda Kerr, and he basically becomes a player. And nobody knows the truth about him.
Do you think he's a psychopath? What is your psychological sort of profile of him?
I mean, there's been kind of a theory that he was being chased by a hole behind him, kind of like Bernie Madoff.
Right.
From the earliest days, he was getting overextended, and that's why you saw that the size of the thefts got bigger and bigger.
But do you think he was a believer, meaning that he believed that somehow he was going to make it to the promised land on the other side somehow, and that he was going to make the money back and it wouldn't be stolen, or that he knew all along exactly what he was doing?
The amazing thing about Jolo is he doesn't seem to ever have an end game. He just keeps on stealing and stealing and stealing. At one point, people are asking for the money back in Malaysia, where he's from. They've worked out that there's a fraud, and he gets a big loan from Deutsche Bank. And instead of using it to fill the hole, he goes and buys a $250 million yacht called the Equanimity. It's crazy. He's this Gatsby-like figure.
Why do you think he was so good at convincing all of these other people that he was legit? Or was it that he, to some degree, was legit because he actually had the money to spend?
I think he was the ultimate stage manager, so he knew exactly what everyone needed to hear in order to get them to believe and to take part in it in some way. And he also really understood the way that you need to lure in people with this idea of Hollywood celebrities, these big parties. It just gave him that allure.
He also had the cover of a prime minister. And he ran a sovereign wealth fund. Right. Sovereign wealth funds have more money than hedge funds and private equity combined, right? This guy was running it. From behind the scenes, but he had the cover. And when you're dealing in that kind of official money, people don't ask questions. Compliance totally broke down here.
So who gets left holding the bag? Like, what's the end result?
The Malaysians are left with all the debt. All of it wasn't stolen savings, it was stolen debt. And that debt will not be paid off until 2039.
What's your relationship been like with Jolo over the years?
I guess I would say it's somewhat antagonistic. We've tried to get him to explain more about what happened in this, and he hasn't wanted to.
He has made a massive play to try to stop our book from being.
Right. Well, that's where I was going with this. In the UK, so he's tried to stop the book's publication completely.
So Jolo is living in China, as we know from our sources, probably protected by the Chinese government, and he has a lot of this money that he stole, and he's obviously not now able to use the U.S. financial system because there's a DOJ probe into this whole matter, but he's able to still use his money, and he's hired big law firms to represent him, including Schillings in the UK, who have been sending legal letters all around, telling independent bookstores around the world that they shouldn't hold this book.
What does Martin Scorsese and people like Leonardo DiCaprio think now? You think?
I think they probably felt like they were a bit conned, to be honest. They saw this guy come in with huge amounts of money, willing to fund these big films without a lot of questions asked. So that was very alluring for them. And now they're probably wishing that they had done some due diligence.
We have a scene in the book where Leonardo DiCaprio and 22 playmates hang out with Jolo in the Palazzo Hotel in Vegas. And this was Jolo's big play. He'd stolen the money. And he says, look, I've got $400 million, and I'm going to help you make movies. And at that time, DiCaprio was facing problems with Warner Brothers about making The Wolf of Wall Street, so he provided him the money. But it's blown up, really, for him.
Is there a lesson in this, especially for all these big institutions that somehow were conned? Do you think there was a way to have known in advance?
Well, all along there was red flags that people could have easily kept following. And there was auditors that could have gone a little bit further and seen that there was a fiction that was covering up, some of this thefts. I think
the big question here is about Goldman, right? Goldman is now the focus of a criminal probe by the Department of Justice. What did they know? What did a banker called Tim Leissner, who was a partner there, know?
And what do you think he knew?
Well, he's plea bargaining with the Department of Justice, which means he knew something, right? And he's talking to.
So he's got billions left. He's got $1 billion.
He's got a lot. That's for sure. We don't know exactly.
Got the yacht still?
No, the yacht was seized in Indonesia, and now Malaysia has it.
And he can't be extradited?
Well,
there's no extradition treaty between China and Malaysia where he's been
I mean,
charged.
is he living a
in
life of luxury right now? He's still getting.
I mean, as far as we know, he's still living a life of luxury. You know,
He's
moving between places in private jets and
So
living.
crime pays, I think.
He's reading Mark Rich's the book about Mark Rich.
He is?
He's Mark Rich's.
Is that a joke?
Well, no, he's reading a Mark Rich's. We know this from people who know him because that's a model. Mark Rich lived off in Switzerland.
The book, The $1 Billion Whale, the journalists behind it, Wall Street Journal reporters Tom Wright and Bradley Hope. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.